Hello, Bills fans, football fans,
Huge game this weekend.
versus the Bengals. And this match has a lot of people kind of
Scared.
However, I think we're going to win, but I'm not actually here to talk about that. I actually want to talk to you about why I think Coach McDermott should be Coach of the Year. They're not, for some reason, thinking of him this way, but they really should.
It's a little unfair.
So I'm going to lay out why I think Sean McDermott should be the Coach of the Year in the NFL for the 2022 season. Really not that hard of a choice. And yeah, you could say,
He's a homer. He's a Bills fan.
but I really want you, just
Hear me out on this one.
I want you to use logic. I want you to think with your brain. I'm going to use logic. I'm not going to use a homer approach. So follow me. I'm going to explain it right now. First thing I have to talk about is the fact that the Bills are kind of like a family to each other and even in the community. On May 14th, 2022, there was a mass shooting at Tops, a supermarket. And 10 people, 10 African American people, died. Black people were targeted in this. And what happened was the leaders of the football team showed up. Guys, this was a horrible event in Buffalo, and the Bills stepped in. Showed how important the community is to them. It was really hard, but moving on to the next thing. The Bills had 5 primetime games scheduled this year, and one of them they didn't complete, the Bengals game. However, they also played Thanksgiving, so I think that makes it pretty much like 6 primetime games, in my opinion, or 5 because they didn't play one. Regardless, that is a lot to accommodate. The schedule is not a piece of cake. Coaches that have taken their teams like the Eagles and made them very impressive, or Brian Dable has taken the Giants and made them really impressive. I understand all of that. I do understand how good of a job a lot of these other coaches have done. Were they tested with a schedule quite like the Bills? Ask yourself for that. Were any of those other teams tested with the schedule like the Buffalo Bills? Is that an extra challenge that maybe you might not consider when you think about Coach of the Year? See, I'm using logic, so I want you to follow along. We cannot control what happens in life. These distractions they're not distractions. They're life events that basically just shock you. So on August 18th, Luke Knox died. That is Dawson Knox's brother. Is this a challenge for a team? A brother. Does that affect a team? Is that hard to get around? Is that a challenge? Yes. September 25th, the Bills play Miami. And while it seems like just a normal game, Miami's sitting there in the shade while the Bills are just getting blasted with the sun. Now, for those of you that have never lived in Florida, I have 10 years. There's a massive difference between being in the sun and being in the shade. And so on that day, we had guys dropping like flies. I think we were on our second or third center that day. I mean, we were getting battle tested. I've never seen a football game like that where guys were falling over and getting IVs like that. Was that an extra challenge?
Was it an extra challenge? I'm asking you a question.
50 AP that get to decide who the Coach of the Year is? November 18th, supposed to be a Bills home game versus
Cleveland.
gets moved to Detroit because a massive snowstorm dumps down into Buffalo and the Bills lose a home game. Is that a challenge? Did any of the other coaches have to do that? Just asking. Bills played Christmas Eve, and when Christmas Eve was going on, my house was getting pounded with snow. So the Bills did make it out on time, but they came back to one of the most intense blizzards that ever piled in. Like, since 77, have we seen something like that? Was that an extra challenge? Are we considering this when we pick Coach of the Year, or we just go, Philly wasn't really that good last year? Rumor is the Bills came back from the airport and had to dust off their own cars. On January 2nd, the Bills were set up to play the Bengals in Cincinnati. And of course, an incident happened in which many people will never forget. And we're, of course, talking about Damar Hamlin falling down on field, having a cardiac arrest. All the players experienced seeing this. This is not something you see monthly, yearly, or even in a career. Some players have never seen something like this. I will say it is very traumatic. Our coach basically decided with Zach Taylor that we were going to call it a game. At that point, he looked at all his players in the face and he said, "You're more important than this football game." I want you to think about a guy like Bill Belichick, who doesn't really have a lot of bedside manner. Our guy, Sean McDermott, said, the most important thing are the players. Now, a lot of people would say that, but he did it with his actions. What a challenging season. Was this an extra challenge? This was more than an extra challenge. The last point I want to bring up is injuries. Many teams have injuries, and I understand. The Bills have had seasons where they were hit pretty good by injuries. But I just want to talk about it a little bit. Von Miller, big signing, out for the season. Micah Hyde, lost him early, out for the season. Poyer, in and out of the lineup. There have been, our secondary has been constantly taking hits. We have been just decimated. Jamison Crowder, boom, out for the season. There's been just constant injuries that this team has to work around. And every team has to deal with it, but it's just another extra. I want you to compare our injuries to some of those other coaching candidates that you're considering. And consider, have the Bills dealt with a little bit extra over some of those other teams that you're thinking about, or some of the coaches you're considering picking over McDermott? Why should we pick McDermott? Leadership, heart, focus, perseverance. Guys, when you're good, you get tested. You're a litmus test for everyone. The Bills have answered the bell. They've been beat up throughout the year, but for the most part, they've rised up to all of these challenges and have been
strong.
Sean McDermott should be Coach of the Year because he is human and he put humans first. And because he put humans first, team rallied around him. And it's been rallying around him since he started.
Now, as far as making the right calls all the time,
No one does that.
No one's perfect all the time. But the ability to change, adapt, grow, and improve and learn from your mistakes is what he does. He shed tears this year on the sideline. How is he not the Coach of the Year? Man. I'm really proud of the Bills, this whole squad. I have never been more proud to be a Bills fan. Talk about leadership. Sean McDermott, he exemplifies leadership. So, guys, threw a logical approach out at you. If there's any chance of Sean McDermott winning Coach of the Year, this video has to go viral. And so what does that mean? You have to like the video. You have to watch the whole video. You have to subscribe. Not really, but you have to show engagement. You could share the video. I don't even know if anyone ever shared one of my videos. Probably not. You could watch it twice. You could recommend it to a friend. You could have a conversation with me in the thread. Or if this
Angers you.
you could tell me why you think McDermott does not deserve to be Coach of the Year. And why your guy should be. Anyway, guys, if you watch this, how could you disagree? Tell me. 50 AP, 50 Associated Press people, you get to decide. Don't pick the wrong person. It's Sean McDermott. You think Brian Dable? Our coach coached him. Our coach coached him how to coach. He showed him how to coach, and he's not even going to get Coach of the Year ever? Come on. Hey, listen, it's been fun. I hope I didn't annoy you too much. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm looking forward to this game against the Bengals, and I really think we're going to win the game. Have a good one. Enjoy the game. It's going to be close. Bye, guys. Go Bills.